Good day, everyone. My name is Kim Bayless, and I'm going to be taking you through a Psoas release. The psoas is a muscle that connects our upper femur to our lumbar spine. It runs up through the pelvis, in and along by your hip flexors, and then connects back through to the lumbar vertebrae. This muscle is responsible when we are in a seated position and pulling us into the fetal position. That position that we adopt many times when we are seated, when we are squatting, any of those movements, that is the muscle that is being contracted and shortened. Spending too much time in those positions can lead to that muscle being extra tight. This can create low back pain or even low back tightness. So I'm going to take you through to show you how we can release this and hopefully make you a little more comfortable. We are going to start by bringing ourselves down to the mat. Feet are together, knees are open, and we're going to roll our shoulders down and back under us. Making sure that we can lift our hips here. We're going to time ourselves, so 2-minute holds. Set your clock or stay with me. Making sure at this time that your glutes are not turned on. We need to make sure that they're not turned on, because if they're not turned on, if they're turned on, then the psoas is not turned on. So make sure that you can feel this up through the pelvic floor. Keep those knees open. Continue to breathe as you do this hold. If you need to, check your glutes to make sure that they're not turned on. That is the key here. If the glutes do turn on, then this will not work. We need to have that psoas engaged. We're holding this for a full 2 minutes. Keep that hold. Continue to breathe. Continue to do that self-check-in. Are my glutes turned on? And we have 45 seconds left here. Remember to check in with yourself. Make sure that the glutes are not turned on. You should be feeling that tension in where the femur connects to the pelvic floor. In through the hips. Keeping your holds. We're almost there. Now when we come out of this, it's very important that we do not lift out of position too quickly. So make sure that you're watching at this time, counting down 3, 2, 1. We're gonna lower our hips down, leave them on the mat. Our knees, we're just gonna lift them up about a 10-degree angle, and you can straighten your feet out there as well, just so that they're not angled inappropriately with the rest of the knee. So just straighten them out. Keeping that position, and we're going to be here for the full minute. And then we're going to raise up another 5 to 10 degrees. And we're going to do 5 of these lifts. The total of this time is 7 minutes. Now as we're doing this hold, you may feel a shake or a quiver come on that is uncontrollable. That is what we want to achieve. That means that we did it correctly. Our glutes did not turn on and take over, so the psoas is able to be contracted during that 2-minute hold, and now we can release it properly. We're going to do another lift here, not with the hips, but with those knees. Slight lift up. And again, you can just straighten out the feet. Holding here for a full minute. Now, as that shake or quiver comes on, allow it to happen. That just means that we did this correctly and we're continuing to do this correctly. Now, if you're doing this at home, then shake and quiver is not that noticeable. If you're not doing it at home, it's not that noticeable either, right? So just be mindful of that, that you feel it more than what we can see necessarily. The sooner this shake comes on, the more you needed this. And we're gonna do another lift here, 5 to 10 degrees, usually between the third and fourth lift around this time. You should be starting to feel a little bit of something come on. If we don't have any shake or quiver near the end, there are two things that could happen. You could be very, very flexible in that muscle group. It doesn't need that release. Or we had the glutes turned on, not allowing our psoas to turn on for that 2-minute lift and hold that we did at the beginning, in which case we're not able to carry on properly with the psoas release. So I'm timing us here. If you're keeping with me, you're keeping on the timeline. And we're gonna do another lift here. So we should be almost up to parallel. Our very last one is going to be up to parallel. Remembering the sooner that shake comes on, the more we needed this. So the more you should actually feel and benefit from it. Take notice after today if this did work for you. How do you feel as you're moving out throughout your day? Now for those of you watching, I do have a small quiver happening there. Like I said, it's not something that you can necessarily see, but more that I can feel. It's almost like my pelvis is shivering. It's not something that you can see. So if you're doing this, there's no need to be embarrassed. It's not necessarily a very noticeable trait that's happening, but you should be able to feel it deep inside the body. And we're gonna do our last lift here, which means our knees are going to be perfectly at 90 degrees. So we can plant our feet flat and allow that shake to happen. So for those of you at home watching, I'm feeling a little bit more here. Not sure if anyone can see anything, but probably not. But it is happening. And that's what I mean by don't be embarrassed about doing this exercise. If you feel that quiver or shake stop at any time, you can lengthen the legs right out from here and just relax for a few minutes. After this is completed, we're all gonna go into it. So if you still feel that shiver or that shake happening, allow it to happen. We're gonna stay here for the full minute to allow that to happen, and then we'll bring ourselves out of it. And let's bring ourselves out, lengthen our legs, and we can stay here as long as we'd like. For those of you that have not tapped into this area in a while or haven't done this before, this is a first. Just to give you a mindset, the psoas is connected to trauma that happens in our lives, very much so. So that's what tends to pull us into that fetal comfort position. And if you have a little bit of uneasiness in the tummy that does come on, it will pass. pass. Usually it will pass within 20 minutes, but all that means is that we've tapped into an area where you've carried some trauma. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope that this worked for you, and I hope it makes you feel better as you move throughout your days.